And welcome back to the Crochet Crowd, as well as my friends at yarnspirations.com. Today I'm going to walk you through reading those schematics. You know when you get those patterns online and it has all the schematics of what the panels look like and the designer says so, and that's all they say. So today I'm going to go through the assumptions and also a step-by-step photographic tutorial. I'll be standing here looking all fabulous, but there will be lots of screenshots today. So, okay, what are you looking at? Let's go to the screen. So we're gonna go to the first option, 1 and 2, and both the model and I are standing together. And what's happening here is that she's using option number 1, which is assumed by the designers, but option 2 is what I did. And what I did was through a lack of knowledge, but I've seen it done before. And so I assumed that it was supposed to be done that way. But in actual fact, can you really tell the difference here on the sweater? So you can actually see underneath my arm here, it's been contoured around because I joined the sleeve down at the base of where the panel started, and then I just followed it around the indentation, where the model's example where it's been inserted right into the indentation and is part of it. So while mine looks more tapered and contoured off, hers is more squared off. So going to a pattern now, you'll see the schematics, and usually you see the front and the backs overlaid on top of each other. It's to save space, but it's also to show you how they connect together. So I put on the schematic here in gray of the back showing, because that's the only part where the back will actually show is in the neckline itself if the neckline is drooping down. So they show overlay, but sometimes some of the designers put the front and the back as separate panels and then show you what the sleeve looks like. The first thing you need to do is lay it down on a table with the wrong side facing you so that you are doing all the sewing on the wrong side of the project, so it'll be inside the sweater. So you don't see any of the sewing, you just see the joins, but it's nice and even and etc. So you're going to join the shoulders together as your first step. And what I would do is use stitch markers to hold everything together in place so that you can make everything evenly spaced. So sometimes things can be off a little bit, but if you use those stitch markers to kind of hold it in place with bow ties, then it's actually a lot easier to be able to sew, and then you don't have to worry about screwing it up later. So I wouldn't be cheap about the option of putting things together with the bow tie joining, of just using stitch markers or etc. to save yourself a lot of aggravation in the future. So you will notice is that the sleeves will then slide in as option number 1 right to the flat space on the inside of the indentation. Therefore, those small little indentations on the front and the back, the part of the sleeve will then work onto those then along a flat line. So you just slide it right on in, and that will be the next step. So in step number 2, we've attached the sleeves right in where you see the green dotted line. So it's right in, and then that small little indentation, I didn't put as green, but then part of the sleeve will attach to those small little indentations as well. So the very point of the sleeve is going inside the indentation and not outside the panel. So you're just gonna sew those along into that position. Now that your sleeves and your front and back panel are joined through the shoulders, you're going to fold it so that it's still inside out. And so you want to fold it down on the table, and so you're going to fold the sleeves over top of each other so that they're completely in half. And then you were going to sew the sleeves across and then down the sides. So you can see I put the green line in there just to indicate that the sleeve is actually butted right up inside the indentation and then comes out on that little indentation that you see. So once you have that done, you can then do it right side facing out. So if I'm ready to go out in the town with my new sweater, it's what people would see. So right side out, and once everything's flipped, all the sewing will be on the inside of your garment. Now, what about option 2 for the way that I did my sweater here? So let's go for option number 2, just the way that you see it here. And so it's lack of information for me, but I assumed the way that I did it was correct, but my assumption should have been option number 1 because the designer never said otherwise. So if you want to go one way or the other, there is no crochet police as far as I know, because I'm totally be arrested. So you still want to join your shoulders together, leaving it wrong side facing up so you can see it, so all the sewing appears. So join your shoulders together so that the back and the front panel are together. Make sure you use those stitch markers, they'll save yourself a lot of grief. So you saw on the first panel there that you want to attach the sleeves into the side of the panel before it goes into the indentation. And then what you want to do is use your stitch markers and pull that sleeve into the indentation itself so that the sleeve is actually being forced in that small little step and then around, then over the shoulders and back down the other side. So what this does is that when you sew it, it makes it look contoured and rounded off. And so you're going to do that instead. So there's an option for you. When you do this option, it's going to show that it's bunching up, but the difference is that your body is not a flat Stanley as far as I know, right? So when you go underneath, you can see that it's following around just like this. Okay, so now you're going to fold the front and the back panels over top of each other, so you're still looking at the inside out of the sweater, and then all you just need to do is sew down the sleeves and then down the sides on both sides in order to have it completely done. So you'll notice that the contouring of the sleeve has already happened in the way that you joined it already. So the last step you need to do is do right side out. So if you want to go out on the town, it's the side that what people will be looking at. You'll notice that any of the joins, any of the bumps or anything in the join is inside of your sweater, and then you're good to go. So whether you do option number 1 or 2, make sure that you do refer to the patterns, because the designer may have a specific reason why they're choosing something, but assume option number 1 unless said otherwise.